All right, this is our last lesson for Unit 3. There are two equations that you see at the top. One is a standard equation, one is a literal equation. You'll notice the difference between the two is the equation on the left has numbers in place of a, b, and c, and the equation on the right has a, b, and c in there. So the literal equation can be used no matter what number that you choose to put in place of a, b, or c. So if I were to solve the standard equation for x, I need to first subtract 3, because remember you always do the opposite operation. So since 3 is being added, we subtract 3 to make it 0 on the left-hand side. So now 2x equals 6. Don't forget that 2x is the same thing as 2 times x, so opposite of multiplication is division. By dividing by 2, that becomes 1x, and 1x equals 3. If I were to solve for x with the literal equation, I would start the same way that I did the other one. I would subtract b from each side. So now I did the opposite operation. So a times x equals c minus b. Since a is being multiplied by x, we divide by a to make it 1x. So 1x equals c minus b divided by a. So looking at number 1, we need to isolate y. That means get y alone. So we're looking at y, and we want to get that by itself. So we need to draw our line to see our two different sides of our equation. Since 4 is being added, we do the opposite operation, and we subtract 4 from each side. You will notice that all you have left on the left-hand side is y, so we have isolated y. And what it equals is 2x minus 4. 2x and negative 4 are not like terms, so they cannot be combined. So this is your final answer. Number 2, this is almost exactly like number 1, except you will see that it is minus 4. So we need to add 4 to both sides. So now y equals 2x plus 4. Again, those are not like terms, so you cannot combine them. Number 3, you'll notice that 2y is by itself on the left-hand side, but y is not isolated. It's being multiplied by 2. So we do the opposite operation, so we divide by 2. This is the part that some people forget to do. Everything gets divided by 2, not just the y. So y now equals 5x plus 4. And number 4, we need to first get that x alone, or get the y alone. So the first thing we have to do is move that x. So we subtract x from each side. So now 2y equals negative x plus 14. We know that that is plus 14 because it's positive. If that was a negative 14, then you would subtract it. Now again, just like on question 3, we're going to divide everything by 2. You'll notice that's a negative x, and that's the same thing as negative 1x. So y equals negative 1/2 x plus 7. For these last 4 questions, I really want you to challenge yourself, so pause and see if you can figure them out on your own before checking with my answers. Number 5, looking at that, we have a negative x. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to draw a number 1 in front of both of those since they don't have a coefficient. So we have 1x minus 1y equals 7. So let's subtract 1x from each side. By doing that, we're left with negative 1y equals negative 1x plus 7. This is a negative 1y. We need to make sure that that is positive 1y, so we divide everything by negative 1. And y equals positive 1x minus 7, or plus negative 7. Either of those are correct. Number 6, we want to get y alone. So we're going to need to move that 4x. Sorry, let's try that again. So we need to subtract 4x from each side, and negative 3y equals negative 4x plus 24. We're going to finish by dividing by negative 3. And remember, everything is divided by negative 3. So positive 1y equals positive 4 over 3x minus 8. You'll notice that I'm keeping the fractions as improper fractions, and they're simplified as far as they go. Number 7, in order to get that y alone, I first need to do the distributive property. So 1x equals 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times negative y is negative 3y. So you'll notice that the y is on the right-hand side, and that's okay. We can leave it on the right-hand side. So we're going to subtract 12 from each side, and 1x minus 12 equals negative 3y. We need to divide everything by negative 3. So negative 1/3 x plus 4 equals y. Keep in mind that that negative 12 divided by negative 3 makes a positive. If you want, you can rewrite that. So y equals negative 1/3 x plus 4. And the last problem, we want to get y alone. So first, let's subtract 7x from each side. So negative 2y equals negative 7x minus 22. Divide everything by negative 2. You'll notice that negative 7 cannot be divided by negative 2. It also cannot be reduced, but a negative divided by negative is a positive 7 over 2x. And negative 22 divided by negative 2 is positive 11.